this video, we're going to take a look at setting up a Vue.js single page app and look at a couple of the common problems you might encounter when using APIs. And in this case, it's a fetch API, which is commonly used. And we're going to look at a couple of the common problems that we encounter, which are typically often the cause or cross-origin rejection problem. And the other one is keeping track of the input and updating it. So we'll take a look at that first. In this case, the input's a text field, produces this search box here, and it's got a V model of local value. And that local value is the whatever the user inputs into this search box. And this is how we going to keep track of it. A couple of little tricks that we can use to keep it updated, watched, and tracked. The first thing is in the properties section, we will set the value to string, and then we will go down into the data method. We set local value to an empty string. That's the first thing. And then in the created function, we run a couple of lines of code to keep it updated, set and updated, and re-emitted. So we set the this local value, and we set that to this value. Yeah, so that's the value of the input word or term in the search box. And then we set watch. We use a watch method to watch the local value, and we set the value to this emit. We use the emit method on the input to emit the new value when it changes. So that keeps track of the value, and we can collect it and use it using this keyword in the functions that we build. So if we go down a bit further, as you can see in the text field on key press, we're going to run the fetch data function. This is typically how we can test everything's working when we're setting the project up. So this is a kind of template for it. The fetch data function, all it does at the moment is just to test that we're collecting the input properly, it is being updated properly, and we can use it. So we've got fetch data with E obviously for when it's entered, and then we're just going to run a little test. If the enter key, is the enter key, then we're going to run console log, and we're going to log this local value. So what that's going to do is collect whatever the value of is put into that search box. Yeah, so it's a little trick that you can use all the time, pretty much, to just test when you're setting your project up that everything's running okay, then you can sort of carry on. So if we just go take a look at in the console for that, I've got it here. This is in a browser. So if I input a name into this, so we'll try Madonna. I'll try input that, and here we go with outputs in the console Madonna. So we can check that everything's working fine, and the the entry into the search box is updated properly, and we can then carry on and make use of it with building up the rest of the app. So it's a little trick to quickly and easily set up your inputs and collecting them in the application when you're setting them up. The second tip is often you find that when you're making fetch API requests or any other kind of requests, you might get a cross-origin rejection problem, and that comes along quite a lot. There is a little trick in Vue.js that you can use, and that's in the Vue config JS file. If you have a look at this, what we're going to do in the Vue, you can obviously make yourself a Vue config JS file, and that sits in a root folder. I'm just going to do a little module export, and what we're going to do here is set your dev server to a proxy. And that proxy is going to be the local host that you're using, which in most cases is probably going to be localhost port 8080. So that's what we set it to. And what that does is when the fetch get request or post request or whatever is sent, it proxies back through your backend URL that you're using on your machine. And that usually, in most cases, solves the problem of cross-origin rejection issues that you might come across. So this is a little template that we've got here to solve some of the common setup problems when you're building a Vue.js app. And you can use these two kind of little tips or tricks in the majority of apps you might build. So I put a couple of links in the bottom. You can access the code and the files that you need to set your app up. But it's fairly straightforward, as I say. You've got all you've got is a property for the search value. You've got properties, value set to a string, and then you've got in the data method you've got local value set to an empty string, and then in the created method we're just setting the local value to the value of the input, watching it, and re-emitting whenever it changes. So that keeps your value constant throughout the running of the application. Then, of course, we can test it in the fetch data function on the enter key. We just check that it's working, and then you can carry on building your app. And so that wraps it up, really. It's just a couple of little tips on setting up Vue.js apps. I've seen this quite a lot on forums and so on. People ask these questions a lot. And these couple of simple ways of dealing with these issues. So links in the bottom of the video. Like the video if you can, and if it's done you any service, and we'll see you later. Thanks a lot. Bye.